Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. He has been observed that a byte or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launcher. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host,
Rodney Shortridge,
and co-host, Robin Dalton.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by going to blogtalkradio.com/Within the Chaos, or listen in by phone. You can dial 323-870-4197. And you can also call in to ask questions to our guests at the same number, 323-870-4197. From deep within the heart of the Appalachians, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my fiery redhead co-host, Robin Dalton.
Hey, y'all.
Tonight, our special guests are Gayle Beatty and Debbie Ray, Bigfoot researchers of Hudson Valley. Gayle began investigating in January of 2012. Since then, she has gathered much evidence and have met and made many friends. Their approach is peaceful and non-threatening. They use Native American techniques such as smudging and sage and gifting with tobacco.
Check your connection.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Now
Okay.
you disappeared.
Well, I noticed it's doing some breaking up here on my end. I don't know what's going on. Does that sound better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Debbie met Gayle in February 2015 after she found 14-inch tracks in her backyard, which were following deer. The more she looked into this, the more she found out about local sightings. She was shocked, and this led them to write a children's book guided with researching Bigfoot, which is now in publication. I'd like to give a big shout out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check them out on their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal. I also want to give a big shout out to my new friends down in North Carolina, the Moonshiners, Lance Walter from Discovery's hit TV show Moonshiners. He's invited us down for a meet and greet tomorrow, located in his hometown of Robinsonville, North Carolina. So everyone, if you get a chance, come on down. It's going to be starting at 5 p.m. and it'll be lasting until 9 p.m. And also, I'd like to announce real quick that where everybody knows I'm Vice President of the Creative Photography Club. We're going to be having our Spring and Easter Bunny photo shoot at Tractor Supply in Pound and Mill, Virginia on Friday, April 7th from 11 to 7, Saturday, April 8th from 11 to 7, and Sunday, April 9th from 11 to 6. So, Robin, how's your week been?
It has been a very emotional week. A lot's happened this week at work, and got some news from my daughter's baby doctor yesterday, so it's been pretty stressful today, going through lots of testing, and then, yeah, it's just an emotional week, so I just ask anybody who does pray to please keep my daughter and my unborn grandson in your prayers, and thoughts, good vibes our way would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, I have lost my voice a little bit today, so bear with me.
Well, I got a bunch of questions to ask these fine ladies, so I'm just going to go ahead and start it off. Again, it's my honor to welcome our special guests, Gayle Beatty and Debbie Ray. Hello, ladies, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, Rod. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank y'all for coming on.
Yeah,
hi,
Robin. How are you?
So tell us a little bit about yourselves and how y'all got into the Bigfoot hunting. And Gayle, I guess since we have got two on, we'll start with you first, and then Debbie, you can tell after she does her thing.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Well, mine started out as a teenager. Never watching a lot of TV, spent a lot of time outdoors on my friends' farms, milking cows and riding horses, hunting and fishing. And so I had never even heard of Bigfoot. I might have heard of Yeti somewhere along the line, but anyway, one evening, I grew up in this town called Pine Plains, New York. In Dutchess County, 2 hours north of Manhattan, but country. And we live on the base of Sissing Mountain. And one night I had gotten into a little trouble with my parents, and I was grounded. So I said, well, I'm just going to go up and sleep on the mountain by myself. So I took a tent and went up there. It was still daylight. Never told my parents, where I was going. They didn't see me leave or anything. And I'm up there, set up the tent, starting to get a little dark, and all of a sudden I hear this owl. but it didn't sound like a normal owl, and it was really loud and really close in the tree above me. What I thought was an owl, and a few seconds later, the most horrific, god-awful, blood-curdling screams and howls and yells like I've never heard in my life. The volume shook my chest, and I was frozen for quite a while. I don't know how long, and then I decided to bolt because I said, whatever this is, it's going to get me one way or the other, so I might as well try to make it out of there alive. So I managed to slide down this ravine and, ran about maybe 40 yards to the house and got in the door and was shaking white. Thought I was going to be killed. And my parents were like, where were you? What's wrong? And I told them, I said, something's up there and it's after me, and I have no idea what it is. So that was my encounter, my first encounter, but still not having any clue of what could have made these kinds of sounds. So then shortly after that, I just went about my life. I didn't, it was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't let it affect my hunting or fishing or any of it. And so it wasn't until probably 2011, after watching the show Finding Bigfoot on TV, and I, started looking and listening, and I said, oh, my God, that's the same thing I heard when I was, had that encounter as a teenager. So then from there, I Googled Bigfoot sightings in Dutchess County, and sure enough, the first one that popped up was one on the road I lived on, and it was in the 80s, and by two women, and it was a daytime road crossing of a large, dark Sasquatch. So that just sparked my curiosity, and from there I just became obsessed, I guess you could say. And I always loved being in the woods anyway, so it was just a natural thing to start looking for evidence, and boy, there's a lot of evidence around.
Wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
So did your parents believe you when you told them?
Did my parents, or I can't hear you perfectly well. I don't know why.
I'm sorry. My voice keeps cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Did your parents believe you when you told them that morning?
I wasn't the morning, it was at night, but they just said, well, what the heck were you doing up there by yourself? And, possibly it could have been a bear. And I said, no, I'm familiar with all the animals around here, and that was not a bear. So they just said, well, don't ever do that again. And, of course, I wasn't going to do it again. No way.
Yeah, back then nobody talked about things like that either.
Right.
That was, back in the 60s, right, Gayle?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would say, oh, there's a boogeyman up there or anything. Nobody would say that, They just said, don't go up there.
They were drinking or on drugs or something back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So what about you, Debbie? How did all this land in your lap?
How did I land Gayle in my lap?
No, the Bigfoot and me.
I'm one of those people who rather watch the History Channel or Animal Planet or something rather than the big three networks. And I'm always interested in the what ifs going on, whether it's UFOs, anything paranormal, anything that can't be explained. And not that I was always a firm believer in these things, but there was always a lot of talk about Bigfoot. And I find it curious to watch these shows and just kind of stick it in the back of my head. And 2 years ago, February, I had broken my leg that fall, and I was still recovering, and we had a lot of snow 2 winters ago. And I had a lot of snow on my back porch and I started to get a leak. So I had my plow guy come over, and he went up on the roof to get the snow off for me. And I didn't want him up there by himself, so I shoveled a little path through this knee-deep snow, and I'm standing out there talking to him. And it's a nice sunny day, and I just looked around, and I see deer tracks, and I see some tracks, and I'm talking to Alex, and then all of a sudden my eyes bugged out, and he's looking down at me, and I looked over again to my right, and I pointed to the ground. I said to him, "What on God's name is that? That looks like a footprint." And it was a line. It was a straight line coming off from the woods, which is next to Amtrak, which is next to the Hudson River. And I was dumbfounded. I just stood there. He's laughing up on the roof, and I went in the house and got my iPad and my yardstick. I said, "This isn't funny. I got to check this out." And I hobbled back out again, and I measured, and it was a 6-foot distance between the footprints, and it was definitely footprints. And I measured them. They were, what were they, 14 inches, Gayle, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 14 inches, about 8 inches wide. And I thought, what in God's name is this? So afterwards I had to just think about all this. And I talked to a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, go to the police and see what they say." So I brought the pictures over to our local police, and they looked at my iPad. And they scrolled through them looking, and I said, "I don't know what that is. You tell me it's a porcupine, that's fine with me." So he said, "Let me get my friend." So he got another cop out to look at the iPad, and they're whispering to each other the whole time. I mean, I'm 3 feet away. I can't hear a damn thing they're saying. So I figured, okay. So they're looking. Then they go, "Where do you live?" I told him I'm just, down the road a bit, and he goes, "We'll follow you home." So I said, "Groovy, come on over." So they came in, and I took them out in the back, and they saw what I was looking at, and again, I'm standing 3 feet away from them. I said, "Look, you can see I didn't walk through the snow. I have a recovering broken leg, and I'm not really going through over knee-deep snow to perpetuate a hoax." So I said, "I don't know what this is. Just, you know better, that's fine." But they were right next to deer tracks. There was definitely deer tracks coming out of the woods. So they're standing there whispering again to each other, and they looked at me and they go, "Yeah, it's probably deer. You'll be all right." And they turned and they left. And I said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming over." And I thought, okay, that really pissed me off. So I had to think about it. And I called my friend back, and I said, "Gee, that was useful. They just came over and said, 'You'll be all right.'" And she said, "Well, it's funny because the weekend before was Valentine's Day, and we had pretty much a blizzard that day, and it was bitter, bitter, bitter cold. And she had been up at the yacht club, which is just on the north side of me, and they were getting ready for a Valentine's party, and she and her husband had helped decorate, and they were on their way home about 4:30. They had to cross the railroad tracks to get back on the main road and to go home and change and then come back for the party. And as her husband's crossing the railroad tracks, and there's a service road that runs right along Amtrak's tracks, north and south. And that's for the repair trucks and, for the railroad. And as they crossed the railroad tracks, she turned to her right and looked, and there was this large, huge black figure walking south along the railroad tracks. And she thought, well, it's an odd day for somebody to be out walking. He said, well, the guy is big. And it was just all dark black. And she didn't think anything of it, and absolutely didn't think anything of it. She said, I'm wondering if that's what it was. So let me see now. After I found Gayle, we had put something on Facebook about the encounter, and somebody immediately answered us and said, "Oh, my cousin is an engineer on Amtrak. He had a sighting that afternoon at about 4:30. It wasn't human. It was probably a Sasquatch." So I'm thinking, okay, I wonder if it's the dude that walked through my backyard. Could have been. It was headed in my direction. So I had to think about that for that week, and by Friday evening, I sat down and I got my iPad out and I just researched Bigfoot researchers in the Hudson Valley, and on my own, and there pops up Gayle on Google right there, And I thought, okay, I'm taking this lady's number down. Oh, gosh, she lives in Red Hook, 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from me. So I wrote her number down. I'm calling her tomorrow morning. So I did. I waited in the kitchen here at 9 o'clock. As soon as the big hand hit the 12, I dialed her, and she was the nicest lady to me. She didn't talk down to me. And I said, look, I don't know what I have. And I was sitting by my computer, and I said, oh, I've got pictures. I can email them to you. She said, okay, good, do that. So I did. We're looking at them, and she goes, oh, you've got something. She said, can we come over? I said, yeah, bring a party. Sure, come on over. So she and Connie came over during the week and photographed everything. And then Gayle looked around more, and she said, honey, you've got footprints all over the back here. And there were. Where's the Gayle? Down by the wood line down
by
there?
The river, right on the
down
river.
By the pond.
And then she has a pond and a woods in between, and then the railroad tracks. So we know they travel the tracks. We know that they're always by water. They're feeding on the fish, the herring, all the different, frogs, muskrat, and everything down there. She's got them. Yep. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get carried away. You finished your story.
That's fine, Gayle. Reinforce it. But and then Gayle just started inviting me, like, hey, do you want to go over and check this out? We've got a sighting across the river at a fast food place, and things like that. Hey, let's look around the yacht club by the railroad tracks. And we did. It was early March and cold and blustery and snowy, and we were up there checking out for footprints. I think that day we found some footprints in the snow too.
I have pictures when John Finn was with us. Yep.
Yes, John was with us. So other team members came over and looked, and then the the prints decided to melt once spring was starting to come. But it was pretty incredible. Just thinking that possibly something like that just walked through my backyard, and I didn't just jump on this bandwagon helter skelter. I really thought it out. I'm not the type to jump to conclusions, and I think Gayle knows that pretty well. We're both pretty logical, but we just kind of hit it off. We think a lot alike. I think we have fun, right, Gayle?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of fun. We've been out so many places, and you're meeting so many interesting people that are, trusting us to tell their story. I've had a woman email me that her parents, back in the 50s, in the town where I grew up, Pine Plains, were driving to Millerton. That's about 10 miles away, going towards Connecticut, actually, and they saw a Bigfoot on the side of the road, the man and the woman, and it was swinging its arms, and it was just walking on Route 199, and they swore that night never to ever tell anyone, because it was in the 50s, and these things were kept a secret. And when the father passed away first, and then when the mother was on her deathbed, she told her daughter about the encounter, and the daughter shared it with me. But some people will take it to the grave with them. But nowadays things are getting better because of the different shows and more sightings all over the world, but especially in the United States, that's for sure. So it's crazy. Yep. And I know you guys have them down in Virginia, because we in October I went to Kentucky. My son took me, and we were visiting Connie Emming, our other team member. And on the way back, we got lost going through the Blue Ridge Mountains. Our GPS did not work. It took us over around two mountains, up to the top, down the other side, until we finally got out. But I said to my son, both of us were scared, because it was cliffs and rocks hanging over and dirt roads that we were going over, and we said, if there's ever going to be something like a squatch or a dog man, it's going to be jumping out on us here in West Virginia, that's for sure.
Yeah, that must have been crazy.
It was.
Yeah, the show Bigfoot Finders, or Finding Bigfoot, they were actually down in there. Yeah, Finding Bigfoot. They were down in our area 2 or 3 years ago, probably a good hour drive from where I live here in Virginia, and they were talking about a lot of stuff that they found in this area, which we do have good terrain for it. Seems like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those mountains. I mean, they're beautiful, but I don't know about ever getting stuck or something up in one of those mountains at night. Holy mackerel! Yeah. You don't know what the heck's coming at you and what direction.
The terrain is perfect for them to hide and live in. Down there with the mountains, just mountains and caves, and it's
the
like
caves,
that would scare me.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Can you ladies explain what it is to be a Bigfoot researcher and each one of y'all's own opinions?
Want to start, Gayle?
Sure. What it is to be a Bigfoot researcher? It's definitely changed my life, and for the better, in a positive way. Just like sometimes you do get frightened. I mean, I've had some encounters that were pretty hairy, but on the most part, the Bigfoot in our area, or at least the ones we have been around, have not harmed us. They have, been peaceful, with the exception of, like I said, a few different things. But I think we do most of our research now during the day because we know that the night, the dusk till dawn, is the time when the Bigfoot like to, do their hunting, and, that's their time. And when you start going into an area at night where you know that they're habitating, that's when I've encountered the most aggression. But honestly, we've been around them so many times and, filmed them. But, of course, they're hiding in the bushes. But, occasionally you'll get a decent picture. And I think we have quite a few good ones. But to be a researcher in this field is great. Most of the people are so supportive. I mean, you're going to get some that are negative and say, oh, that picture you just posted, that looks like a, whatever, a bear or whatever. And, you do have to put up with some stuff like that. But on the whole, it's changed my life, and I love it. And, we do teach children. We go to schools, and we don't charge any money. And we do presentations about the Bigfoot and the Girl Scout troop, summer camps, and it's just like it's an awakening for the kids because most of them are really into it. So that's why we wrote the children's book as well for young researchers. So I just think it's a positive thing, and it's really fascinating. And I think that maybe we may help to make history someday if we, have enough proof or, whatever. We could change history. I'm done.
Yeah, we're all waiting for that Patterson-Gimlin shot, I think.
Yeah.
And every researcher is. Now with the Dog Man in the mix now too, that makes it even more interesting too. So you really have to dissect your pictures and your videos and see really what's in there, because we even look at each other and go, that looks like Dogman ears, but this looks like a Bigfoot over here, and we're seeing them together. Then we're finding other things in our videos. We have pictures of even aliens.
Yeah.
Really to the point where we've looked at each other going, no, that can't be, and it's like, no, it is. Yeah,
in the same area as the Bigfoot.
Absolutely. So, we've what else? We've had coal blasting done at us. We've had them right behind us. Seems like every time we take videos and or pictures and we're going through them, they're right behind us. They're right next to our head. They're just a couple of feet away from us. They're so close. So researching this, I tell you, I don't have one straight opinion about these things, any of the cryptids at all. my head is always open to what else is out there, what else is going on. And I think every good researcher has to keep that in mind. I think every time you go out, it's a different thing happening, and you have to be open to what are we going to run into today, or what are we going to find, what are we going to learn. And I think Gayle will agree, every time we go out, we do learn something. And I think that does make for a good researcher if you can compile all this. And listening to these shows, I mean, people may say, oh, this show is ridiculous, that show is ridiculous. Yeah, sometimes they are tedious and they never get a result. But I think it's the fact that they're out there and investigating, whether you come back with a lot of evidence or not, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
No matter
you
what
learn
you do.
every time from
every time
other people, and when we go out ourselves, we always learn something or find something. Yep.
I mean, I've learned so much just hanging with Gayle. When she first brought me out with her, and she said she was explaining that, well, they do hide. You know, we get them on video, and it's something called cloaking. And I looked at her like, what are you talking about? I just couldn't comprehend that idea. But I just, kept my mouth shut, kept my brain open. I thought, okay, you know more than I do. I'm going to listen. I'm not going to stand here and tell you, lady, you're crazy. Let me see what's going on. You had to see it for yourself. You know, knowing when you were out there, you didn't quite see something with your eyes, but when you came back, there it is on the video. They were in the area, and they were around. So you always have to keep an open mind researching with anything. I don't care if you're researching tuna. You have to keep an open mind, and something else is going to surprise you every time.
See, and I like what you said about always learning. And, we've been doing this. We've been in the paranormal field for 8 years now. And, like you said, you're always learning. Every time you go out there, it's something new. And, there's no such thing as professional. It's just learning every time and always researching. And it's great. I mean, and I would love nothing more than to go on a Bigfoot hunt and find something or hear something, but I'd probably pee myself.
Oh, we've gotten it. We were coming out of one it was in August, and then we got Mike and I got a right behind us, and I looked at Mike. I said, "Oh, did you just hear that?" And he goes, "Yeah, something grunted." And Gayle and Diane came out of the woods about 3 minutes later, and we got a whoop whoop. And
yeah, that was the day we went to get the big crack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and
we
was
got
like,
it, what,
18? The heck? Then we get back to Gayle's house, look at the video, and swear to God, there's one that looks tall and thin. We're looking, and it's following 3 feet behind me. It's just right there.
I don't have to worry about the ghost eating me. The most they're going to do is give me a cold spot.
Yeah, that's it, right? And that's another thing. You talk about ghosts. I brought something into Gayle's investigation. Just sitting and watching and thinking about things. I said, gee, when people go out ghost hunting, they use an EMF meter, and so I said, I have one. Let's use it. And every time these darn things are around, the EMF meter spikes up high. We get it. We get a hit, and then it goes down. And we found that, and then there they are on the video. You may not see them. I kind of am sensitive. I get a feeling in my stomach, sometimes a zapping up through my legs, and just a tingly all over when they're around. And and then there they are. If we look on the video, it's like, oh yeah, sure, he was right behind me. So we're careful, and that's another thing. You can't be too blasé about everything, like, oh, we're not going to get hurt. You got to assume that you got to run for it at some point. You never leave yourself in a corner. You can't be too overconfident about things. You got to keep your wits about you.
Yeah. Now, when y'all do go out and do your investigations and your research, do you guys get permission to go on these lands, or do you go on public lands?
Both, actually, because I know a lot of people that are, quite a few that still have land around here. growing up here in this area, so I have a lot of land to explore that I haven't even touched yet, but we do get permission from, farmers and different people, and then we do go to nature preserves and state land, and they're there. They're there. They know, there's the hunting season's a certain time or whatever, and they know to go to these nature preserves, and there's plenty of food, wildlife, and, things for them to eat, and we have found so much evidence that one particular place, oh my God, I can't mention the name, but we know there's a large clan of at least 20 individuals, and I'm sure it's even more because
I think it's more, Gayle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've got
so
young.
Do they usually work with you So are the landowners, are they good about working with you, or do any of them ever give you a hard time?
Yeah, some are, but last summer, Debbie, I got a report from a farm hand that was working up north of here, about 25 miles north, and the farm hand said that he had gone into work as he did every day, taking care of the animals, and they found a cow with the neck was snapped, and one of the legs was ripped out by the socket of the big cow, weighed, over 1,000 pounds, and thrown 15 feet away, the leg. And the way this thing was, opened up and stuff, and the internal organs were taken out, and we know that's what the Sasquatch like, the high protein of, the liver, the heart, the spleen, and all that. And the farmer was not, willing to let us come on to investigate because he had a farm stand where people would come up in the summer, like a petting zoo and everything with children, and he did not really like the idea of, even though we wouldn't say where it was or anything, he just buried the cow and that was it. So I never got to see the photographs that the kid took or anything. So some people are hesitant. Yeah, they don't want to draw attention to it in case they want to sell the land or whatever. They don't think, it's a good idea.
Yeah, the farmers don't like to admit that it could be something other than coyotes.
Well, yeah,
but we went on this farm's website, and son of a gun, if you look at the picture of the field with the cows there, the Bigfoot right in the back.
In the wood line behind the cows.
Sitting there.
It's like,
at the
oh
cows.
My God, see this?
We were dying laughing. We said we got to get up there, we did, but it was just not a good day to. We drove around, but it was very random. But I thought, oh my God, here's your website. You've got Bigfoot in there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But these farmers are, just, I don't know whether they're scared or don't want to admit it, but they just chalk it up to coyotes or something. No coyote rips a cow's leg off at the hip joint and throws it 15 feet.
And breaks
that doesn't
its
happen.
neck.
And breaks its neck? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, even the deer, flipping the neck around to the back?
Yeah.
A bear would go for the jugular, or just rip it to death. But
Big
no,
cat would hamstring it or go for the neck, you know. Oh, God.
Yeah, the injuries to the animals are just indicative of something bigger doing this.
Yeah, with hands.
If a bobcat goes for something or
right.
It's entirely different. But the injuries that we hear about to animals, even horses, she's got a call from a guy way upstate, and his horses have had scratches on their back, down their back. That was, you know where that is.
There was a horse not too far from here that was really pretty bad. I mean, it ended up living, but the farmer took it, had the vet come out, and he's like, I have no idea what the heck got a hold of this horse. But, I've heard of them attacking horses too, so, they're big enough, whatever they want. They're the predator. We're not the ultimate predators. Yeah. They are, if they want to be. That's
we talk a lot, Rodney.
The world
I'm sorry.
changed.
Oh,
That's
no,
my
that's all
whole.
right.
Yeah.
No, we have lots to talk about.
I'll probably end up having to do a part 2 or 3 or 4 with you ladies. I love it.
Oh, we got more.
I have
Gayle, Gayle has lots of stories.
It's hard to pull out a word out of them.
Well, I love the one
next question I have is kind of like it's a 3-part question. So, if there really are Bigfoots, what do you think they are? Where do you think they come from? And it is some researchers' opinion that Bigfoots are possibly a missing link to humans. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
We want to take this one, Deb.
I think they can all be answered, pretty short, in a short little paragraph there. I think there are Bigfoots out there. We've seen them. Definitely, we saw them a couple weeks ago too when we were out on a morning expedition. Where they come from, we still listen to everybody. I know Dr. Melba Ketchum did that genome research project, and she came up with the information that it's the mother's DNA is the mother's is human, it's the father's an unknown hominid. So it's probably part human, part created someplace. We've been places and heard reports also that Bigfoot suddenly appear and dogmen suddenly appear after a beam of light has come down from the sky. I know this sounds very Twilight Zone-ish, and I even raised an eyebrow with this until one night I saw it myself, and not too far from Gayle's house. And somebody was showing me their habitation site, and we were sitting out there in the evening, and it was a restless evening in the habitation site. They didn't come to the fence that night. We left food out, but I had to leave around 9 o'clock at night, and I was kind of getting a little freaked anyway. I was still new in the whole this whole Bigfoot issue, and we were walking back to the house to bring the chairs back. And for some reason, I turned around and looked, and there was a beam of light going into this habitation area. And I stood there, and I said to him, what is that? And he goes, that's them. And Gayle had seen the same thing at the same place. She saw it with a blue light. I saw it with a red light at the base down near the ground. There was a report across the river at a government facility with some campers last year. I think it was in April or May. They were out camping one night and on a mountain, and they saw a beam of light or a craft come down, and out popped 3 or 5 dogmen, which absolutely terrorized them, and they ran down off this mountain. Unfortunately, it's government property. We couldn't get down there to investigate, but you keep an open mind, and you just file it away under your information. Where are they from? Oh, God knows. I don't know who made them, but we're still trying to figure this out. Okay, Asa, you can add. Gayle, go ahead.
No, you did great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to specifically say, oh, yeah, they come from the planet Nibiru, or, they're Nephilim, or, they can be possibly our ancestors, Gigantopithecus blacki, until we have some clear, I don't want to ever kill one, and we are a no-kill organization, but we do have enough DNA and hair samples and tissue, and there have been studies done, and that's what they're saying. The mitochondrial DNA is human, and the nuclear DNA from the father, unknown. So until someone opens up, and I do believe the government knows what these things are. They know everything about them, and they've just been trying to silence, people for so long and keep them, hidden, because it will change our economy and it'll change your life, because you'll never be thinking the same when you go fishing, hunting, hiking, camping, horseback riding. All of that will change once you know that they're out there and they're watching you and you don't know. They're watching from the trees, the bushes, the logs, the stumps. They get low to the ground sometimes, and they crawl, and they're so stealthy and fast that when we review our video footage, we use these camera glasses that we record with, and then also little HD Sonys, and that's basically what we use. And when we start to review the video, we look for certain things, and now both Debbie and I are pretty darn good at picking these squatch out of the pictures and videos. And then Debbie has a computer that she can click, like we'll find like 2 or 3, 4 seconds of, where we see the creatures running or, moving in some way. And she does it in, like, I call it nanoseconds, like it's not a full second or, just split little time she hits it, and you will see this whole thing unfold. Like one will be in the tree and he'll come down from the tree and then go down on all fours. We've got a bunch of different stuff, but we're not experts at, like, editing. So we do the best we can, yeah.
So what other type of equipment do you use? I know you said you use for video and some recording devices. What else do you use? Could you explain to the listeners?
Oh, Debbie has gotten a parabolic. You could tell them about the parabolic too. That's good.
Sure, it's just like a gun with a dish on the front, and it'll pick up some sounds, and we can hear something walking through the woods at a distance. We haven't used it too much. We haven't been out much, a whole lot this winter because of the cold. But when come the spring, we'll be using it a lot more. The EMF meter we use, our videos is the best. But we do chime in with the parabolic to see if there's anything else going on. We don't usually tree knock too much. We pretty much go in and observe. We don't call blast. Once in a great while we might, but we really go in and sit and listen. Sometimes we just go to a couple of our areas that were our favorite areas, and we don't do anything but sit on a log and just videotape with the glasses and just observe and see what we get. And just kind of observe. Burn sage, they seem to respond to burning sage. Gayle always blesses us before we go in, and has a sage smoke around each one of us. And we bring gifts of tobacco before we go in, that we're coming in peacefully. And, and even if we have guns with us, and it's not for the squatch, it's in case there's a bear or Debbie gets scared with a snake.
Yeah, or a mountain lion.
Or a mountain lion, anything. So in case something comes.
Too.
Yeah, we just we don't want to kill anything, but it's just for our own protection with something else. We don't necessarily think the Sasquatch are going to bother us. If we see it, and we've seen them, they just either sitting in the back there and not moving, just watching us. And if we do see them, they're moving, they're going the other way. We've never had them coming towards us. They're just walking away. They seem to like to watch kids at schools. We found them to be near the camps, day camps for kids, and just watching from afar. Not like they're up hanging over a fence or anything, and they're probably all cloaked at this point, but just watching from afar and just watching the kids. And that's what we got on the video, that they were in close proximity, but just watching, just hanging out. What else do we use, Gayle? I can't think of anything else. EMF meter, a tape recorder, the thermal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the thermal.
Thermal
really
camera.
Good.
I've got a small thermal camera because FLIRs are really expensive. And if somebody wants to buy one for us, that would be great. But they're really expensive. So I've got a small handheld one, and if we see something, then we can capture a picture on there. We've gotten strange orbs at one of our favorite places, at a funny looking tree. It's kind of a funny story. There is this very odd tree at this one place we like to go to, and it's a decaying tree pretty much. And Gayle calls it her Harry Potter tree. So that's kind of a marker when we're walking around there, and like I'll meet you at the Harry Potter tree. And one day it was in June, I think it was. It was a rainy day around 11 o'clock in the morning, and I turned it on, and there was this orb just right in front of this tree, and nothing else was around it. And we were videotaping the whole time. When we got home and we put the chips in, there they were. They were all around near the tree. What we thought one was even a mother with a baby, and there was another guy crouched to the ground. Yeah, within feet of us. Just feet of us.
Debbie, I was recording her from down on the dirt road. She was maybe 7 feet away from me, and she was only like 2 feet away from the tree. When I looked at the pictures, that you see the shape, you actually see this thing forming. My son looked at it, and I have 3 sons, but this one is a little skeptical. He believes in Bigfoot, but he's like, Mom, not everything's a Bigfoot, and they can't, cloak or whatever. And I said, Matt, come out with me. And so he just doesn't want to. I guess he doesn't want to, change the way he thinks about the world or whatever. So, but it actually, like when he saw it, he's like, that's like a ghost or something, because it's like you can see through it, and it's the profile, and I guess it was squatting at the bottom of the tree, Deb, and you took the picture of the orb, and we're like, why is there this heat signature, this big orb here? And sure enough, it was this creature. Oh gosh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Definitely life-changing stuff here.
I know you all mentioned quite a few times the dog men. What is a dog man or dog men? What are they? What's their purpose?
Well, from what we're finding, we haven't had the aggressiveness. We haven't. I've filmed a dog man. Well, actually, Connie Emming filmed a dog man and a mother Sasquatch with an infant on her, clinging to her left shoulder, and a juvenile in front of her. And Connie and this man, Brian, were walking on the trail, and I was on a lower trail with another investigator. We were supposed to meet up. So they're walking along, and all of a sudden they got hit in the face with this horrible smell. And they're like, oh, my God. Brian says, Connie, what is that? And she said, well, I don't think it doesn't smell like a Sasquatch. It smells like a dead animal. So they said, oh, great. And Brian said, figures, something's going to happen. He just had like a premonition, and it was his first time out with us. And so he said something to the effect of, oh, great, now, something's going to happen. Sure enough, a few seconds later, they stopped to drink some water. They put the backpacks down, started drinking the water. Connie put the camera down. All of a sudden, this whack, whack, whack coming from, the right of them. And Connie was like, what the heck is that? And Brian's like, oh, I have no idea. What is it? And so just then I texted her and I said, where are you? Because I was getting worried because they were supposed to meet us. And she said, oh, my God. She said something's after us. So they took off running. And I don't know if it was in the same area as where I have the stills of this dog man leaning up against a tree, pointy ears, pointy snout. I can send it to you if I didn't already. And then to the right of him was a mother Sasquatch and the 2 young. So I'm kind of thinking that, because some people say, oh, dog man and Bigfoot will fight, blah, blah, blah. But why? And we had found his tracks of the dog man earlier that day. So I think maybe they're hanging with the Sasquatch and protecting them or something. I don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
But that's what it seems like to me.
We see them in our pictures with Squatch a lot too. Where they came from, how they've evolved, who knows? I've been reading a lot online about the Dogman encounters, and people now are starting to relate them to, in children's literature when they talk about the big bad wolf, mostly the European stories, that maybe they're referring to a Dogman, and as opposed to a werewolf, it's really a Dogman. So, who knows? I think we all have to sit back and listen to everybody's different evidence, and then you kind of put things together. But who knows what this is anymore? Is it made on Earth? Is it made someplace else? I don't know what its purpose is. There's so many weird things.
Yeah, genetically manipulated by aliens, and we don't know where these things. But there have been legends for centuries, and especially in Europe, about dog men or wolf-like creatures. But these things, it puts a whole nother fear into you when you're going into the woods now. Because once we found that track, Connie looked at me, and she's like, "Oh my God, Gayle, I'll take a Bigfoot any day of the week over one of these things." And I have to, I have to agree. I think the Bigfoots are more peaceful, and they can kill you if they want. They can kidnap you and try to breed with you or whatever the heck they do. But a dog man probably just rip you apart. And that's the end of you. And that's happened in Kentucky at Land Between the Lakes. And there's a big, the government tried to hide it, but people were killed, a family of 5, I think. Well, they believe it was the dog man. They found some of the bodies up in the trees, the little girl, and I don't know.
Oh, my God, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I don't think a bear would do that.
No. I don't even think there's bears in that part of Kentucky, because Connie and I went there in October, but we were checking out some of the old grave sites on the land by Lake Barkley, and a lot of the cemeteries. There were so many soldiers killed, and then the Trail of Tears, all the Native Americans killed. And the whole area is just like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live around there, I don't think. Too creepy. Creepy.
Well, I know you mentioned something about DNA evidence. Have you all collected any DNA evidence, and have you all been able to get it tested to see what it could be?
Yeah, we have probably 8 or 9 hair samples. We've had several piles of scat, and then I have a little bait and tackle shop, so I keep it frozen in the freezer. But I haven't had the money really to have any of this stuff analyzed. But there is a man coming here this spring who's a scientist and an author that contacted me, and his name I can't think of right this second, but he's written a book, Things That Shouldn't Be Here. I think that's the name of the book, and he is a scientist, so he has offered to take some samples and, give us his professional opinion, which I thought was really nice, so soon, hopefully. Yeah. But other researchers have, they have.
Yeah, it is expensive to get it done. Remember, you got the spine 2 weeks ago too, when we think it's Bigfoot saliva right with it.
Oh yeah.
We were. It was crazy. It was just laying there in the dead leaves and
by the
one of
nest
the guys
area too.
Yep, by the nest. Yep, and the guy said, "Oh, Gayle, look there's a spine here, and look at it's fresh saliva with it. Get the saliva too." So it's just such a glamorous
moment. I have
it
too. It's frozen. Yeah.
Oh, goody, Gayle.
Hey, I've brought home entire deer, what was left of a deer carcass when the squatch got through with it, and it was winter when I got it, and its neck was twisted, like, somebody just grabbed it by the head and swung it around or something. And my husband, I had it all winter in this plastic tote out by the chicken coop, and so then my husband in the spring. He's like, what is that smell over there? I don't know what that smell is. And oh my God, it was so bad that he made me take it and put it, somewhere, bury it or something.
Oh my God.
But, there's so much that we find. Like every time we go out, we find some evidence, whether it be stick structures, nests, footprints, hair on barbed wire fence. We have so many areas that we know they are in, and there's so many more to explore that it's like we need to clone ourselves, Deb.
Yeah, wait for that moment.
Yeah, really. Make 10 clones of ourselves.
That kind of goes into my next question about, can you explain how Bigfoots build their nest, or do they live in caves, or do they build any type of shelters that you have found during your research?
Oh yeah, well, they do build like teepee type structures. We found a lot. They intertwine vines and branches. I found one up the creek here 2 or 3 summers ago. That was a dome shape, maybe 12 to 15 feet perimeter, just with branches and sticks and, twined up and almost looked like an igloo out of branches, and then a stick sticking in the front of the opening, like just stuck in the ground. And this was in a swampy area. We own this land up our creek, and mostly there's, just turtles and ducks and otter and beaver up there, but the Bigfoot like it up there because there's no one around, and it's a swampy area. So, yeah, they do, but it wouldn't protect them from, rain unless they added more branches at night, like pine boughs they use a lot. But, it wouldn't be something permanent. I think it would just be something maybe to keep their young in while they're out hunting or something like that. But they do go in caves. They go in abandoned buildings and barns. They go up in the trees. I mean, they're just amazing creatures at survival.
Yeah, I do think they pretty much live under caves, especially
right.
There's the habitation place near Gayle's up there. We know that they're tunneled underground under this guy's house because he can hear them at night, and he's got a lot of activity up there, and they're underground.
Yeah, his house is sinking. His house is actually sinking, and we found a crystal one night. It was like frosty ground, and we had a psychic she was a shaman come out to the house because he had so much activity, sightings, landing, going on his porch, scratching on his windows, screens, throwing rocks at him, his house. So he called in, me, and then I had a friend that had a shaman friend. And we went out there one night. Oh, my God. She stopped dead in her tracks, and she said, everybody just stop. She said, move back 10 feet. And we're like, okay. And we said, what's going on? And she said, I don't want to tell you right now. Let's go in the house. So I'm like, okay. We get in, and she was freaked out. She said, I'm never coming back here again. She got a message from them that they are doing something underground, and that we within a certain number of years that he would have to move out of that house because whatever they're doing underground is actually ruining the foundation. But we did find a crystal about 4 to 5 inch long, perfectly formed crystal sticking up out of the ground right in the spot where she stopped. And I assumed, I touched it with my hands. I assumed it was ice, and I had it in my hand. I'm like, let's take this and put it in the freezer. I've never seen an ice crystal protruding from the ground, perfectly, pointed and everything. And he said, no, put it back, leave it there. So we left it. But there's some weird stuff going on over there. Very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first investigation was there. I think I was at the farm first, but that was the first person that had contacted me, and believe me, I wouldn't live there. I would never stay overnight there. I won't. It's scary.
Well, even that night, I guess Gayle had the team from Squatchachusetts down from Massachusetts, and they almost peed their pants with what went on that night. It was before I met Gayle, but they left scared.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the one guy was physically ill, dry heaving, shaking, pale. He got hit with the infrasound because this is something that we know they do. They have a low frequency power effect that they can hit people with, just like elephants have it and lions and different animals, that paralyzes and confuses your prey. And the guy that had the FLIR camera in his hand that was filming them, he got it bad. And, everybody got it a little, but I didn't get it. I've only had it twice, and very mild, like feeling the tingling coming into my legs and my arms. But the men, they had him turn in circles, and it was bad for them. And they broke huge trees, live trees, like snapped them like pretzels. And I said, that's it. We're heading back to the house. And that's when the light went up in the sky, the blue light, and everything went dead silent. Every one of us were scared.
Well, that kind of goes along with, we've read that some researchers have a theory that people see Bigfoot when there's UFO spotted in the area. Do you think the Bigfoot's not into UFO phenomena?
Yeah, there's some connection there. There's got to be.
I think there is too. Yeah, there's got to be. You can't explain it. You just can't, because we know they were at this habitation area, and then there's the light. And Gayle had seen it. You see, that was 6 months before. That was just, you saw it in December. I saw it in April. 4 months before.
Right. The same place.
Something like that. Same place, but she saw it with a blue light up in the sky or on the ground, Gayle.
It was shooting up to the sky from the ground.
Oh, okay.
And
I had the red light towards the ground, and then the white light shot up. So I didn't see it come down, because when I turned around, there it was, and it was waiting for us to leave. It was just waiting for us to leave. So I think they come and go with UFO help. I really do. There's just, as you said, there's been sightings with Bigfoot sightings and UFO encounters, and
in the same area, the same night, that people see the craft and then they see the Bigfoot.
Yeah. Do you think Bigfoot might possibly be an alien?
Yeah, it could be true. I mean, I don't know. Like the Native Americans call them the Elder Brothers, and supposedly they have been here, before man. But, where'd they come from? Who created them? Did God create them? Jesus, it's just yet to be known. I can't go on the record and say, yes, they are aliens, because maybe they're not. Maybe they just have abilities to, they're on a different vibrational plane than us, but the HD cameras that we have pick this up when they are standing in front of us like 5 feet away, and we don't smell them, hear them, or see them, but we might sense that they're there. Like Debbie's real sensitive to them, and I am too, but in a different way. And then there they are. So they may be vibrating on a different frequency, like or in a fifth dimension or something. That's. But there's something different about them. They have abilities that, they can't be explained. It's difficult.
You can see a chameleon blend into a tree and leaves, and that's understandable. They're right there, but you can touch the branch and feel the chameleon. These things, when they go into another dimension, and somebody said, no, it's not a fourth dimension, it's a fifth dimension, because we see height, width, and depth, 3 dimensions. When they go into this other dimension, you can't even touch them. You just may smell them, if they're around.
Yeah.
But we don't have the ability to touch them. Thank God we can pick them up on the HD cameras and see that, holy cow, they were right there. They were right next to that bush. We walked right past them. And remember the one that materialized? I got it on video. You were walking past them, Gayle, upstate near Albany. And this thing looks like Jabba the Hutt. It's the only other reference I can give to you. But it was enormous. And it materialized right in front of Gayle. Gayle was looking into the brush. And cause we just sensed they were around. And this thing just formed. And it just looked like a big Jabba the Hutt blob. And then it dissipated. We have it all on video. I mean, my mouth dropped open reviewing that. I said to her, "You are not going to believe this." And we sit there and we look. I don't think we surprise each other anymore, but we're surprised. You know, we'll get video evidence, and I'll take pictures and send it to Gayle. Like, look at what was next to your head, and she'll send it to me. And we're surprised, but we're not surprised. We expect to see them.
It's been a while for us to get used to, this kind of living, because this is not anything we were brought up knowing or to have to accept that yes, they're on our property, yes, they're watching us. When I go to feed the chickens in the morning and the ducks and the rabbits, they're there. I know they're there. I don't wear the glasses and camera all the time, but once in a while I'll just step outside on a nice day, put my glasses on, and just look at the birds and look at the pond, and then I get home, pop it in. Oh, there's one big one up in the tree. The pine tree's looking at me, and oh God, we had who were the people we had from the newspaper that came? Alyssa and Jim. Were doing an article. Remember?
Yes, they did an article on us, Bigfoot in our backyard, and Gayle had the glasses on, and she got them, and they were shocked at the right behind them were these Bigfoot in the trees, and we showed it to them. Their mouths just dropped open.
Yeah, they put it in the newspaper and everything.
Yep.
Gosh, it's crazy. Yeah.
It is.
It's fun, though.
When y'all do go into
a moment.
Do y'all go in just completely scientifically, or do you ever use any other techniques like religious or spiritual techniques during your investigation?
Well, we use holy water. I have holy water from St. Lucy's Grotto, I think it's in the Bronx or Brooklyn. And then I do pray. I'm Catholic, and Debbie is too. I went to Catholic school, and she did too. So, it's just, I pray to Jesus and for safety, and we never bring anyone out that might want to harm one, or we don't trust really totally to be a good-hearted person, because I believe that telepathically, they can read a person, and maybe they've been watching us since we were children. That's one of the theories of Sunbow, this Native American elder that actually got messages from the Sasquatch, and in Kiwani Lapsaritis' book, Sunbow explains that these were our elder brothers, and they know each one of us. They've watched us grow up, and the world is in trouble, and that's why there's so many around, because we are polluting and killing each other, and wars and sickness. The world is sick, and it needs healing, and something is going to have to happen in order for that to happen. I don't know. It's just scary in some ways.
I don't think there were this many years ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Robin. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, honey. I was just wondering about how many investigations you've participated in with your research.
God, probably a couple hundred at least. I've got at least, I think, 120 videos on my YouTube channel, and I have probably that many more home that haven't, been edited, because we don't really know how to like make them shorter, large stuff, and really professionally do it. So if any of the listeners out there want to volunteer, we could use the help. But yeah, at least a couple hundred. Plus, I've hunted my whole life and fished and heard wood knocks. I'd be deer hunting or something, and sitting there by a tree and hear wood knocking, and I'd say, geez, who the heck's out here chopping wood? But never made the connection of how that's a Bigfoot. Yeah. Or whistles. They whistle to each other too, to alert the other ones, and they sound like a human whistle, but they can make a loud. They have a big lung capacity, but like sometimes you just hear a little whistle, and then you'll hear one from another direction, because they're never usually alone, unless it might be a rogue male, which could be dangerous.
Right.
But they're mostly in family units, and they're large units from what we're finding. There's so many that I don't even venture to say how many is in this country. But
I don't think years ago, Gayle, there were as many as there are now.
No,
I
now
just, for some reason, just don't think.
No, I don't think they were that many. But now, like I said, the world is changing, and they're here for a purpose, which hopefully it's peaceful. From what some people say, it's going to help some things change in a better way, which I'm hoping to believe that, because I don't want to think of if they ever really got angry and decided to all come out. Wouldn't be a good thing for the world.
No.
No. Where you get, where y'all talked about where they're kind of like family units and sometimes big family units.
Yeah.
Do you think they do things like, do you think they might bury their dead? I mean, do you think they do stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I believe that they, because people have claimed to have shot them and or shot at them, and then another one will come running out when the one fell down and, carried it off. Yeah, I definitely believe that they're very intelligent, that people don't give them enough credit for them to be around for so long and be so elusive, and just live in basically our backyards. They could be living in your backyard right now, and unless you know what to look for, and it isn't real hard to find the sign from what, I have tracking, abilities and stuff, thank God, but the lay person going for a hike, they don't know when they look at this stick structure on the base of a tree or an X marker, or they leave glyphs, which are like sticks that they will break off and put into symbols. They stack rocks on top of each other, they bow over trees, like weight down one end in like a U shape, an upside down U, and that's a signal marker. So people, the researchers are doing a real good job, because I watch like a lot of different researchers, Scott Carpenter, Will Jevnings, Melba Ketchum's doing a lot in Texas with the DNA. There's just so many more researchers out there now, and we all are hopefully sharing, what we find, but sometimes other ones get jealous and they might, criticize you, but you just have to ignore them. You just ignore them and say, look, I'm not getting paid for this. This is my passion, and, if I can make a difference in this world, maybe find out exactly what's going on. What do they want? Are they wanting us to be spokesmen for us and, to communicate something to the world, or have they chosen us? There's a lot of questions to be answered. But with so many people out there, as long as they're good-hearted people, the Sasquatch will come to you. They will find you, no matter where you might go. Once they know you and you have a good heart, I think that they come to you, honestly. Yeah.
Well, Why haven't there been any bones discovered yet?
Well, I have heard of people that have had bones, and actually, oh God, there was a movie actor, way back in the 50s, I think, and he and his wife had traveled to some other country, maybe Nepal or somewhere, and there was a hand of a Sasquatch. And somehow, it's James Stewart. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah. And the wife smuggled the finger. She got the finger and smuggled it into the country in her lingerie compartment in her trunk. And from there, I don't know what happened to the finger, but that's a story I know about. And then I have actually had a call from a man that found, what did he find? I guess it was just the leg bone of a Sasquatch up high up in a pine tree. And it was like wrapped with vine or something to hold it up there. And he had the theory that Sasquatch take their, dead and like put them high up in the tree or something. I don't know, because he actually took the leg bone to Esteban Sarmiento, that guy with long hair on on television, the scientist, and they all the whole group that found this bone took it to him. But then I tried to follow up with him, and I know he was handicapped and elderly, but he found that maybe in the 80s when he was researching New York, but I think more like Putnam County or something, with a large group. And he found hair and, tons of other stuff too. But then, if I can't get a hold of him to find out whatever happened to that leg bone. So, there's remains. It's just that I think that they do bury their dead, or, bring them into caves or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think there aren't more pictures? I mean, everyone has cell phone cameras. I mean, why are most of the pictures we see out of focus?
Yeah, well, that's the infrasound, because Debbie and I have gone through this. I have probably 18,000 pictures that I have taken off of videos or, still shots, and I go into a program and pull them out, like darken or lighten, whatever, crop, enlarge, whatever I do to bring them out. And this just happened yesterday, that Debbie sent me a picture of some Bigfoot that were watching us from about 3 weeks ago up north of here. And so I said, I see it. It's up in the tree behind my son or something. And I started to, change the contrast on it, and wavy lines come through the picture. And it's just freaky, because it just is. But anyway, the infrasound that they throw out can actually shut your cameras off, because I've had that happen numerous times. Shut the trail cams off, then they'll come back on a little while later. My cell phone, my iPad, my cameras, Debbie's camera. So there's, I think it's the magnetic force, or, the vibration or something that this infrasound causes, like the wavy lines, fuzziness. They're not just going to come out and stand out in front of you and say cheese, but some people do manage to get, there are some pretty good pictures out there. I look at them all.
There are.
Yeah, the people are getting them,
Yeah.
Then other people say, that's a hoax, and then people, they're afraid to even post what they have, because they don't want people to think that they're faking it, I guess. You know. Yeah, we put out some stuff, but we have other stuff that we don't even bother putting out. We know what it is, but other people will look at it and say, oh, God, another blob squatch, they call them. Yep.
So then why are most mainstream scientists so skeptical of their existence?
Because the government's paying them to probably not say what, they know to be true. Like Jeff Meldrum knows that they exist. You know, he's got, hundreds of casts and evidence. He's been out, and he's very respected, and, he does believe in them, and he's gone public with his beliefs, but there's other scientists that it would make, too much controversy for them, and they are afraid to lose respect or maybe lose their pension, something like that, I think.
And plus they're big and scary. If the truth really came out tomorrow, think about it with people want to know about aliens too. We demand the truth. Well, if the truth is going to hit you between the eyes, you need to change your underwear because you're going to be scared to death. And if people think these big hairy creatures are living in the woods behind their house, they're going to be terribly frightened. I think
they'll
it's the combat.
Shoot them.
Right, they'll shoot them. It'll be chaos. And I think just to keep people in line, and people are just happy in their own little world. Sometimes they don't want to know really what's out there. Not that we went looking for it, but it kind of fell in our lap, and I'm just finding it really interesting. The more we get into it and research a little bit more, and it brings more questions. So it's something like you can't stop. We sit and Gayle and I sit a lot of times and say, well, gee, what if this? What do you think of this? You think they're doing this? What do you think now? And it's different every time. When you think you're getting on a track of thinking in a certain direction, we'll see something else and it'll change things. Or like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. You'll hear something from a TV show, and you have to kind of put things together like a patchwork quilt. A little bit of this, a little bit of the TV show, a little bit what you find, a little bit what you see on Facebook, a little bit what you hear from these websites, and listen to people, and don't say, hey, you're crazy. Just keep an open mind about everything, and just kind of eventually we're all going to just put it all together and just say,
or
until somebody comes with another Patterson-Gimlin film and say, unequivocally, this is it, guys. This was on the New York State Thruway. Okay. This was seen in Central Park. This was, and 10,000 people saw it. Come on, it's always one or two people, and how do you definitely back that up? So, I think it's really right now nobody comes out and says anything definitive just to keep the chaos down and keep people from being scared.
Well, speaking of the Patterson footage, what is y'all's opinion about it? And do you think it was a hoax, or do you think they actually captured a Bigfoot?
That was real.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. It's the muscle grouping. If you watch the film over and over again, it's the muscle grouping moves differently than it would have as a suit or a Hollywood stunt. It's those muscles just undulate under that fur, and it really does look real. Plus, I don't think they would have made it female if they wanted to fake something, and it definitely looks female.
Yeah, and I think recently M.K. Davis, I think it was M.K. that found a young one in the photograph or in the video. I think he found a young one. That's why the female was trying to divert them so that the young one could get away. I mean, definitely they're very, very intelligent for sure. And there's another video I just watched yesterday, and I've seen it before, and it's a good one with the mother coming out from behind a boulder, and she picks up her little baby, and that one, everybody said, oh, that's too good to be true, that's a hoax. That was from, I think, 2014 or 15, and there's different people like M.K. Davis, Thinker Thunker, and now there's a new guy called Bigfoot Tony that takes people's clips and analyzes them and, does all kinds of stuff. And I watched it, and it's real, I mean, this guy is phenomenal. All of those guys are. So maybe someday if we can get one of them interested, they will help us with our video clips like that. That would be good.
We'll get there, Gayle. We'll get there.
Yeah. We're too old to go back to school, Deb, to learn this now. Too busy.
Go ahead, Robin.
Can y'all recommend any Bigfoot Sasquatch books or periodicals?
I didn't hear all that, Deb. Did you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it all, Robin. Could you repeat it?
I'm sorry. My voice keeps cracking.
I know. I feel bad for you, and the connection isn't so good tonight.
Yeah, I was just wondering if y'all could recommend any Bigfoot and Sasquatch books and periodicals.
Well, there's a lovely children's book coming out in a few weeks. It's called The Young Researcher's Guide to Bigfoot, and by two lovely women from New York State.
She opened that door wide open for you, didn't she?
All right. Thank you, Robin.
Hey, that's been a lot of work, and I think I finished up a little bit of paperwork this morning, and I go, here it is. That's it. I'm done. And, with the editing and stuff. But, yeah, it's, there's books out there. You've got Nick Redfern's book.
Yeah, that's an excellent book. That's what I'm looking for now. Nick Redfern,
you have Dr. Meldrum's book.
Sasquatch Legend Meets Science is good.
Yeah, Kawani Lesperitis, he's got a different kind of take, the more spiritual take on the forest people. He's interesting to read, whether you believe it or not. I believe he does tend to go towards the theory of the UFO connection with that. I'm sorry, my Jack Daniels is kicking in. I can't think right now. I'm very relaxed. I just love these radio shows.
In your pajamas, right? Like me.
Yeah.
We love it.
But
I'm sitting here in my underwear drinking a beer. What are y'all talking about?
Well, you're
all right.
Too. I figured, I need to go to sleep after this. A little Jack will help. Because I was up till 2:00 last night. I couldn't. My brain wouldn't wind down. But there. Let me see. Other than that, there are good books out there. I think you just. I kind of associate it with somebody I see on TV, and then I look for their books. And it was Jeff Meldrum. Who's the other one? Will Jevning. That's who I was trying to think of.
Will Jevning. He's got, I think, a third book coming out now. Yeah. There's so many. Like when I started out, I would go on YouTube and just type in Bigfoot and go on and look at all these different people. Timber Giant Bigfoot's really good. He got the red female in Ontario, Canada, I believe. We also are hooked up in a way with Les Stroud. He's been here on my property, and he said he's coming back this spring because he didn't have time to get out. I was going to take him up the creek in the canoe to show him where the nest was. But he's very busy now producing his own television channel, but he's promised that he would come this spring. So we hope that he will be able to make time to come here and we could take him out to some of our hot spots. And,
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Oh, I love that man.
He is.
We do too. We have first dibs on him. We love Les, and we think.
He's such a nice and genuine humanitarian. That man.
Yeah.
And talented musician and singer, and he's an unbelievable person.
Yeah.
And we are.
As nice as you see him on TV, he is that way in person too.
Right.
He's just a very genuine man.
With all the survival shows that's been out there, when I watch Les and compared to everyone else, that is exactly how I was taught. If you're in the wilderness and you get stuck, you be calm, you don't do nothing stupid like that one running through the woods.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. No, he is very, very good. But I thought about like taking him if he had the time to the one specific area, that we really know that large clan is there, and the rookery with the babies they have and whatnot, and just saying, Les, we'll get you permission to stay here overnight, but then I would worry myself sick all night in a way, because if something ever happened to him alone out there, but I know he would have an encounter. I know he'd have an encounter if he went there by himself. Yeah.
That's
we know what's sitting up there. We wouldn't want to leave him in danger either.
No.
So,
no.
I mean, after what we've caught over
that's
there.
Where the dog man. Yeah, the dog man was up there. Yep. We like him too much. We don't want to lose him. Gosh.
Yeah, please don't. Not before I get to meet him. Don't hurt him.
Really? Yeah. Gosh. This
has
been wonderful.
That kind of makes me wonder. I was wondering, when you do have eyewitnesses that you're questioning, what kind of questions do you ask them to get good answers, to get good information?
Let's see. We recently had a guy that has seen, in the 2 years since he rented a house on a high elevation near a state forest. And I must have found us online, called up maybe now 2.5 months ago or so, and he said that he has seen into the 2 years up close, pretty, everyone was very close, like within feet of him pretty much, 5 or 6 individual creatures, all different creatures. The first one he saw was when he was hunting in the tree stand with the crossbow. He saw a female. He had put some jelly down under the tree stand, some Concord jelly in a jar, I guess, and some berries. And he saw this bear come sauntering around, and the bear is right under the tree eating the berries. All of a sudden, the bear looks up, looks to its left, takes off running, and there's like a 7.5 to 8 foot tall female Sasquatch. She squats down under the tree, and she proceeds to eat the rest of the jelly, and I guess he made it in a ball with berries and the Concord jelly. So he flipped out, because his initial thing was fear and shock, and he drew the crossbow. She never looked up. She never even knew he was there, and he had her in the crosshairs, and he said, Gayle, I could not shoot this thing because the face was so human. So that was the first one. Then since then, he's seen the big male, I don't know how many times, Deb, 2 at least. He was off the deck. The guy had a raccoon problem, so he put a have-a-heart trap out on the bottom of his deck, over the deck side. So he hears something like rattle in the cage. So he said, oh, good, I caught that raccoon. So he walks out on the deck, and he just starts to lean over, and all of a sudden this Bigfoot male, 8 to 9 feet tall, stands up within 2 feet of him, and he's got the cage of the raccoon in his hand. And the guy was like, oh, my God. It was huge, barrel chest, big, real big. And the thing just looked at him and turned and walked up the mountain. And he, oh, my God, he was, freaking out. I think he called me. Yeah, he called me that night or something. I don't know. But he's seen the black one. He's seen the female. He's seen 2 black young ones, about 3 feet tall. He's seen a whitish, I don't know if it's a blondish color one, a juvenile, 5 foot tall. And then I think one more. Oh, I think one off his driveway. And then his neighbor, the old woman, 84 years old, saw one crossing the road right by her house. And we've been there. And it's squatchy as hell there. We smelled them as soon as we got out of the car, and before we even went in the woods or, just getting our camera equipment. He's like, take a whiff, and we all, with the pungent odor, that forest was full. So, we've got tons of evidence from there. That's where the deer spine that we got with the saliva. Yeah. And then we got them.
We saw them standing in the back too, and way in the back. And then we got them on video walking. Yep.
And then I saw them shaking the tree. Remember, the tree was waving back and forth. We got that on video too.
And I've got a video clip of one walking in the tree line up the hill. It was just trying to hide and dodge between the trees. And we didn't see it with our eyes, but I caught it on video, and it's definitely human figure-like, but back and forth between the trees, just trying to dodge us, but watching us the whole time, just watching us. They're always at a higher elevation watching us.
Yep. Well, I wish we could get... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Rodney.
Okay. Do you all keep a database, the locations that y'all, I guess, get calls for of sightings and for any other mysterious happenings such as the lights, UFOs, and so forth that you keep track of?
Yeah,
Definitely.
We have a map with push pins that actually needs to be updated. And then I log every encounter. Either when they call, I ask if they will allow me to video record it with my little recorder, and then I write it down. So probably now we have close to 150 reports, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is just in like Dutchess, Ulster, Columbia County, Putnam County, so maybe 5, and then Scotia, 6 counties maybe. And there's a lot of counties in New York State and a lot more sightings. So this is the tip of the iceberg, basically.
Yeah. We get a lot of calls from all over the place. It's sometimes we can't get up there. Some of them are way upstate New York, and it's like closer to Buffalo or something, off the thruway, and it's 5 hours to us to drive up there and 5 hours to come home. That's a long day. But we would be in touch with somebody else in the area if they needed immediate help.
Okay. Well, do you all know if the Bible says anything about the possibility of the existence of a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch?
I think it does.
Doesn't the Bible talk about the Nephilim? We're not sure where that line crosses.
The fallen
from biblical
angels
times.
breeding with the human females, the Nephilim. And there's other things in Revelation. There's some things, and in the book of Enoch, and in some of the prayers that I noticed. I was in church, I don't know, a few months ago, maybe with Diane in Kingston, and one of the prayers, the way it was sounding about like something about the underground, like the demons or something, or maybe I read it in the Bible about something coming from underground that God created, So there's definitely got to have some connection. I mean, somebody had created them, and I believe in God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. So somebody created them. One of those three.
Yep. We're just going to investigate them. That's all.
Yeah.
So are there any places in the country that y'all would love to investigate?
I'd like to go to Washington State, really.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to go out there. I know Dr. Matthew Johnson out there in Washington he's got a book coming out in the end of April that I already signed up for to get. He's got some revelations up there. He's, I think, more on a spiritual level with these Sasquatch at a habituation site, and he has a more personal relationship with them. Doesn't really go investigating; they come to him. So I'd like to pick his brain, but I would like the Pacific Northwest to to take a look up there, see if there's a difference.
Right.
We know they're down in West Virginia, or Tennessee, and Kentucky. They're all over the place. It's
right. The temperament is different in different states. From what I am hearing, like the guys in Mountain Monsters, they get 200 calls a week sometimes. And, like, they're aggressively, killing the livestock, coming up to people's houses. I mean, a lot of, more aggressive behavior in Texas as well. So we're very fortunate so far, knock on wood, that, we haven't come across something that really, one of them could just tear you apart, tear your head off, pop, your arms out the socket if they want to. And the amount we've, been around and the times we've, been vulnerable and alone, the two of us sometimes go to certain areas alone, but other times we bring, men and guns, and I sometimes bring my shotgun depending on where it is, but, not to harm the Sasquatch, like we said, but just for protection. But, we've been fortunate, definitely.
Well, I know where I live. I kind of live in a valley, and for the past 2-3 years in the spring and the summertime, I like to go outside on the back porch and smoke 2 or 3 because I'm up all kinds of crazy hours, and there's all kinds of dogs all up in the holler and everything's quiet. And all of a sudden, I've heard the squalls and the screams that they play on these TV shows and also on YouTube and so forth.
Yeah.
And for the past 2 or 3 years, I could go out there and like I said, everything's dead quiet. And then all of a sudden you hear that scream and that holler. And then you can hear all the dogs all the way up. I'm talking about it has to be a good mile or so. Just all start bark. Now, I talked to another researcher, and they told me that they know that I'm out there smoking, and they know that I'm listening, and then they're just letting me know that they're there. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is true. I was out here smoking one night a couple of years ago in February, and my cat was on the porch with me, and we live on this creek. So, I look out my porch, and maybe 70 yards away, there's the creek. And then across the creek is a farmer's field. There they plant crops and stuff. And there was snow on the ground, so there's snow up on the other side of the creek. And I see 2 glowing sets of glowing green eyes looking at me from across the creek, and nobody goes over there. Occasionally, a hunter, maybe, I don't know. Nobody's really over there. And so I looked, and I'm like, holy crap. I said, who's over there? And I yelled. Immediately, they just vanished. They just took off. I didn't hear them running or anything, but they just vanished. And, they know. They watch the houses. This is what I'm saying. Plus, I'm right down the street from a school, a middle school or elementary school, So I'm less than a quarter of a mile away, and our swampland where I found the nest is close to the schools where the bus garage is, and then the playground is there and stuff. And here's a nest of Sasquatch are up there, probably liking to watch the kids, enjoying watching the children playing. So, they're just watching us all the time. And, it's kind of unnerving in the beginning when you realize it. Like, you've lived down that property how long? And then all of a sudden you just noticed that was happening the past few years? Or because of the Finding Bigfoot show, you probably heard the sounds, right?
Well, I've been in the woods all my life and hunted and stuff, and I've heard knocks and stuff, but I never paid no attention to it. I just figured it was a branch or something falling. But these past few years, it's got louder. It's like it's got closer, and that researcher also told me that if I ever see one, don't ever make the mistake that it's just one. He said the one that you're watching, there's like 5 or 6 more watching you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're all around you too. Don't think they're right in front of you. They will strategically post themselves around you. It's not just what you see in front of you. They're to the left of you, to the right of you, behind you. We see that in the videos now. It's crazy.
Remember the time we were up on the Blue Trail, and there were three of us, and we were focusing on a big live tree that had just been thrown across. I mean, we didn't hear it go down, but the leaves weren't even dried on the edges, and it was in like June or July. So we were standing there saying, holy crap, it's right across the trail. We know there's young in there because we had videotaped them, and that's where the dog man was and the mother and the babies. And so we figure that's probably a rookery area where they're, breeding and raising their young. So we're all standing looking at that and filming that. So then we said, okay, we better not go past that tree because obviously something's going to happen to us. So we turned around to go back. We walked maybe 15 feet, and there's a fresh track. So this creature was watching us, and he must have leapt across the thing, and the grass and the moss was flipped up, and that was about a 15-inch track, I think, 15 or 16 inches. I think it's in our book, too.
That's the picture in our book. That's one of the pictures I had to flip this morning.
But Scott Carpenter is smart because now he rigged his camera facing behind him, and he's gotten the dog man, he's gotten a Bigfoot and an alien on its shoulder, a little white alien. He's gotten so many by mounting the camera, the GoPro, on his back because he goes out alone most of the time. And he's in Tennessee, I think, Maryville, Tennessee. But, he's got good stuff.
Well, I had a Native American friend tell me one time that they choose you to see them. Is that true, too?
Yeah, I believe it. I mean...
I do, too.
Yeah, because, I can look at pictures. Debbie can look at pictures, but we can sense when they're around. And when we start, sometimes we bring Native American music with us, or I have a drum. We bring the sage and we smudge. Before we enter, we ask their permission to enter their home because that's their home. And I think that the reason they don't just step out in front of you, and this is what I read, I think in Sunbow's book and with Kiwani and everybody, that they know how terrifying that it would be to see them. They know to us they would be so grotesque looking and make us so fearful. Like people would probably, some people could drop dead, or just pass out in fear, So that's basically why they hide from us, because we couldn't accept it, that we couldn't fathom it, process it, and be okay with it. We'd probably either drop dead or pass out in fright. And that's why they don't just show themselves to everyone. But when you're ready, and if you wanted to, have an encounter, they say go out in the woods by yourself, to a favorite spot, where, you just don't go one time. You're going to be going there to a place on your property or somewhere quiet and observe nature and gift them with tobacco or apples or something. And eventually, they might just show themselves, but you have to be ready and lose the fear. And, that's a little hard to do, I'd be all right with it if it was in the daytime and it was just one. But if, we know that there's hardly ever just one. There's, a lot more. So that's one theory anyway.
Do y'all have any plans for the rest of 2017? Do you have any big projects you're going to be working on?
Well,
just less crowd. We're going to work on less.
Les Stroud, and then we're going to Don Peak is having a convention in Louisville May 20th, and Debbie and I and Connie Emming will be at the convention as guest speakers representing New York State, and yeah, that's exciting. And I want to go to Monmouth Caves when we're down there, because they found a huge skeleton there or something, like a giant skeleton. And, you know, there's been tons of sightings of strange creatures in those cave systems, so I want to go there and check it out. And the book.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested in finding out more or has any concerns or questions, how can they get in touch with y'all?
They can go on to Facebook. Our page is called Bigfoot Researchers of the Hudson Valley, and both our numbers should be on there, and our email is GaryGale@gmail.com. And then we have a YouTube channel called Hudson Valley Squatch 1. And then Debbie Ray has working on Bigfoot Researchers of the Hudson Valley page on Facebook. And then Connie Emming has Heartland Sasquatch Organization out of Wingo, Kentucky as well. So any one of those places you can, contact us. We miss Connie because she moved. Oh, yeah, it's getting late, huh?
Yeah, we're down to the final couple minutes, so I just want to thank you for coming on the show. And, yes, we're going to have you back on the show, because I had like 8 pages of questions to ask you all. And,
oh, my God, that's great.
Oh, wow.
I'm terrible about that. I think I'm actually having a conversation for like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah. So, well, we'd be happy to come back. We have tons more. I mean, so much that it's just so happy. I'm happy to, meet you guys and girls, and hopefully one time we can get together, because I'm driving down to Kentucky with my husband. I think Debbie's flying unless she wants to ride with us. But, yeah, Virginia's right along the way, so maybe we can hook up and get together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I love that. Bring Les with you, too.
Yeah, fast. Oh, I'm going to try. He promised us he would, so a promise is a promise, Les, if you're listening.
Well, ladies, y'all have a good night. And again, I appreciate y'all coming on the show. I learned a lot from you all, and you all keep up the good work and stay safe out there.
Thanks a lot. We enjoyed it.
Very much, Rodney and Robin.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for us tonight. I want to thank the 2 amazing women, Gayle and Debbie, from the Bigfoot Researchers of Hudson Valley, for coming on the show, and thank everyone that took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network for putting up with us, and also to all the first responders and the men and women in the armed services. Thank you all for your service. Our guest for next Thursday night, March 23rd, will be paranormal travel writer, researcher, and artist Michael Huntington. So turn in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone go to our Facebook page, Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like the page to see our upcoming guests along with past shows, postings. And you can go to my website at www.blackdiamondps.org or to blogtalkradio.com/Within the Chaos. Thanks again, and until next week, everyone be safe and have a good night.
Night, y'all.
Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Yes, while Geico could help you rack up more moolah faster than you can say metamorphosis, they've also been the fastest growing auto insurer for more than 10 years. That's more like it. Furthermore, Geico has fast and friendly claim service. That might seem like an oxymoron, but it's not. All the more reason to say no other auto insurer has more than Geico. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.